Recently, my daughter was married, and although her husband is delightful, I have now had to attend several social events with his mother, Sonia. In other words, the mother of my daughter's husband. It is so weird to me that we have third cousin twice removed, which I don't know what that means, but we don't have a name for the mother of the person who marries your own child, but we don't. So we're just going to call her Sonia. How's that? You continue. Holy smokes, she has proven to be quite a surprising challenge. Again, the mother of the daughter's husband. Sonia is the mother of the husband of the daughter of the lady who's writing me. Did you get that? The second time we got together, my daughter's husband was describing some recent events in their lives. You know, how after you get married, you sit around and blah, 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 about how you met and afterward. Blah, blah. And I just made a little innocent comment. I think I added some small detail about an event that he was describing that might interest people. I was simply amplifying what he was already saying. All of a sudden, Sonia, his mother, just explodes all over me. The exact words don't matter, but the message was this. This is my son, and it's his story, so you can just shut your mouth. I was so shocked I couldn't think, but I heard myself saying to her, almost out of body experience, and he's the husband of my daughter and the father of my future grandchildren, so I'll speak if I want to. I'm just gonna take a shot without going further. This didn't go well. That she didn't say, "Oh, my mistake." You continue. I could tell from Sonia's expression that this was not going to go well. And I felt my daughter's hand on my neck as she firmly led me out of the room. Apparently, you've got a pretty smart daughter. She explained that Sonia behaves like this with her too, along with everybody else. Sonia gets along with nobody who has a beating heart. She explodes, but then it tends to just blow over. Well, you've got a pretty smart kid who knew what to do to just take you out of it because you had no way of knowing what she was like. Her mother-in-law, your daughter's, is obviously in pain. It's not going to change soon. So your daughter has just learned to, ride it out until the storm blows over. You don't fight a storm. When a hurricane hits Florida, you don't fight a storm. You wait until it's finished. You don't interrupt a storm either. So just let it blow over. Your daughter's a pretty smart kid. You continue, but now I'm freaked out about being around Sonia. Nah, that's not going to work. If you're freaked out, you'll feel unhappy and you'll feel less able to love your own kids, including your daughter and the guy she married. If you feel freaked out, you'll feel smaller yourself and you'll feel defensive preemptively and at anything she says. Sonia will feel your discomfort, and fear only spreads. So your fear will increase her fear and make her even more likely to attack you. I know, sounds crazy, but if you're freaked out about this woman, you just increase the odds that she'll attack you. Sonia will be trained even more to freak out, because if you're defensive and she makes you shut up or makes you go away or go crazy, why do you think people do stuff? Why do you think people do blow up? It's because they get their way in some way. And if she gets her way with you, well, you just trained her to do it. Just like you train a seal. If you freak out, your daughter and her husband will feel less comfortable around you. Your grandchildren, when they come, will feel the tension between you and Sonia, and probably their parents when they're around both of you. So you being freaked out, this is not going to help. So what's the solution? You have to see her and treat her as though she were a frightened child. That's why people behave like this, because she is. In each interaction, you decide what you want to say or do, not because it will minimize the woman's craziness. Will she blow up? Maybe, but you simply choose not to respond. And you tell your daughter and son-in-law what you're going to be doing so that they know. It might even teach them how to deal with her. But at this point, don't worry about modifying their behavior. Now, there was a follow-up email. The same person who's writing to me writes and says, this morning, we had a family gathering. Sonia was snotty to me about something, and I said, thanks. I never thought about that. See how neutral that is? She said something snotty, something critical, and you just said, thanks. I never thought about that. Wow, how disarming is that? You didn't fight the storm. You just let it blow over. Sonia looked at me blankly like she'd just been hit by a car. She had no comeback, nothing. After a few seconds of silence, she changed the subject. No more blow-ups. I couldn't believe it. Now, it doesn't always go this easily, but I wish it did. But I promise you that fear and retaliation never lead to the outcome you want. When people manipulate with intimidation or anything else, never play their game, because the game never ends. It's like an endless game of chess where everybody loses. Only love wins. So the way you responded to her is just one response. When she blew up, you could also have said, I'm a participant in this conversation, so I'll probably say what I want. Now, that sounds a little antagonistic. It's entirely in the tone. I'm going to do it again for you. Well, I'm participating in this conversation. I have been all along, so I'll probably continue to speak. Did you hear the tone? I'm not fighting her. She doesn't know what to do and people don't fight her back. New subject. This is from a woman who's been practicing real love for several years. She said, I was asked to bring some specific food items for an event this weekend. Potatoes, tomatoes, cut up tomatoes, sour cream, cheese. Sounds like the kind of stuff you'd do to make a stuffed potato dish. I don't know. When I arrived and put my food out, the organizer of the event came to me and said, where is the lettuce? And I said, I didn't bring any lettuce. I wasn't asked to bring lettuce. She went on to say, how did I think that we could have salad without the lettuce? Now, notice, I didn't think it was a salad. I thought you were going to stuff potatoes, which is a dish served, at events everywhere, even at restaurants. You continue. I replied that I had not been asked to bring the lettuce. She kept on asking, well, how can we have salad without the lettuce? And I replied, I brought what I was asked to bring. End of discussion. I did not go into a long explanation, and I did not feel guilty about not bringing the lettuce. Did I need to do anything differently? Good question. No, not really. Otherwise, you would have played into the guilt game of the victim. She didn't ask you to bring lettuce. She didn't even tell you it was for a salad. She just told you to bring potatoes and sour cream and I don't know, whatever else. And this happens at lots of events. People are asked to bring disparate items that are going to create something else, and they don't even know what they're going to contribute to. The second time you said, I replied that I had not been asked to bring the lettuce, you might have said, now notice, I didn't say should have said. You might have said, this is just another option. The more options we have, the more choices we have, the more confident we feel. You could have said, so this isn't complicated. This is to the lady who's nagging you. I brought exactly what I was told. I will not answer, where is the lettuce again? For all I knew, this was a dish of potatoes filled with tomatoes, sour cream, and cheese. Somebody, maybe not you, made a mistake in not telling me to bring the lettuce. So what would you like my next move to be? See, now you're putting it back on her. She's unhappy with something. You're asking her, what would you like me to do? It really tends to shut up whiners when you ask them to make a decision. Now, what if she says, well, go get some lettuce? Well, now you have a choice. You can choose. You can say, well, okay, there's a store a quarter mile down the road and I'll go get some lettuce. Over. Ignore the fact that she was snotty to you. That's not part of the equation. We don't care. Or you could say you'd planned on a salad and now you've got stuffed potatoes. Or we can eat just potatoes, in our hands with nothing on them, and with a spoon eat sour cream and chopped up tomatoes. Whatever. I'm just saying, you don't have to play into this game of somebody nagging you. I don't let people tell me something more than once. I will just put my hand up and say, is there any doubt in your mind that I understood you the first time? Some people don't like that, but repeatedly telling me something that they don't like doesn't help me and it doesn't help them. And so it actually kind of bores me to death. New subject. I know a man who has had more than his share of chronic pain and illness in life. He's my friend. I love him. He wrote, my wife has cancer. We don't know whether she will live or die, but she's in a lot of pain from time to time. I don't quite know how to act around her pain until I remembered how you've always treated me when I was in pain. I want to be afraid when my wife's in pain, but I remember how nice it was that when I would tell you about my pain, you never worried. You cared about me, but there was no fear. You've given me a model that I keep in my mind every day. You're sweet to have noticed. I didn't have to work at it. I wasn't using a technique. I've just learned that fear is, as they would say in the South, the devil. No kidding. So when you're in pain, I want to know. I wince, admittedly, a bit inside, knowing what chronic pain is like myself, but I'm not afraid. If it makes any sense, I feel your pain with you, but I refuse to add drama to it. And it's fun to hear that you're doing this with your wife. When people are in pain, they don't like pity. They like understanding. They like companionship. They like caring. They like to be able to talk about it if they feel like it. But they don't need your pity, and they don't need you to pile on stories about how you're in pain too. And no, they don't need to hear all that stuff. They don't like drama when they're hurting. Now, there are exceptions. There's some people who just have no life and they're numb, and they use their pain as a source of drama. But mostly they want your love and compassion and understanding. No great surprise there, is there? New subject. I met a 16-year-old girl who was, let's call her different. not a particular diagnosis. She wasn't schizophrenic. She wasn't autistic, but she was just a little odd. Not a lot of friends. In fact, probably none. No real lasting friends. But a real out-of-the-box thinker, able to analyze data very well. I had some really fun, intelligent conversations with her because she could talk about all manner of things and integrate them and be insightful and see things that most people wouldn't see. But pretty bad at picking up on people clues, kind of like an Asperger's syndrome, but not quite. As a result of being a little different, she felt isolated. In fact, she got to the place where she was feeling suicidal. And so she called me. And I said, "What are your goals in life?" She said, "Well, I would like to be a beauty queen." I was talking to her on Skype. That was not going to happen. I would like to play professional soccer. She was short and slow. I don't know why I'm telling you this joke. It was one of my favorites. But they used to say in my era, when somebody wasn't very good at a sport, like say basketball, they'd say, "Well, he's short," because most basketball players are tall. "He's short, but he's slow," meaning he's terrible at basketball. So beauty queen, professional soccer, there wasn't anything about her that would even hint that that was going to happen. And I want to have lots of friends. Not likely to happen. Certainly wasn't happening now. Now, what people tend to do is this. She says, "I want to be a beauty queen." And what do? They say, "Well, honey, you're beautiful to me." That doesn't help. It really doesn't. It's like a rotten tomato is beautiful to me if, I can eat a small portion of it. And people sense that you're trying to make them feel better. It just feels fake. I want to play professional soccer. And so people, to make them feel better, say, "Well, you can play soccer in a local league or, like the high school." Or no, she has really unrealistic goals. Somebody has to tell her the truth. And I said, it's really unlikely. This is hard. Actually, it's not hard stuff for me to say, but most people just can't imagine saying this. I said, it's very unlikely that you will be generally liked by people. Ever. Because you're a little different. And people don't know what to do with people who act different. So what do? They avoid them. That's not your fault, by the way. That's their inability to love you. How about the other things? I'm rich, famous, athlete. I know all these people. I know the rich people. I know more than my share of billionaires and famous people and athletes, and that doesn't make you happy. So you can have it as a goal if you want, but if you have it as a goal so that it will make you happy, you're not being wise. Nobody had ever told her this before. So I made a suggestion. Find one or two people who understand you some and who accept you. How do you do that? You talk about yourself to people at school. At lunch hour, go sit by somebody you don't know and just talk about yourself a little bit. You're going to find out pretty quickly whether they're accepting or not. Find one or two people who accept you some. That is gold. And when you find somebody like that who notice I didn't say accept you completely. That's rare stuff. And as you practice doing that, you'll eventually find people who accept you more and more, and then eventually your need to feel accepted will be fulfilled. But this takes practice, and you have to pan for this gold. It doesn't just appear. It's always going to be like this. You're always going to be just a little different. Well, honey, you're going to discover at some point in your life that your differentness has some marked value. No kidding. I know a guy who just has been odd all of his life and didn't know what to do with people. And now he works in some sort of top secret, it's top secret because if you ask somebody what their job is, they say, oh, I work in government. They're never specific. I was in the Air Force long enough to know the terms that they use. You ask somebody where their base was, and all they had to do was pause for half a second, and you'd go, I know. If you told me, you'd have to kill me. But this guy was a little odd, and it turns out that his ability to analyze data was highly prized. He ended up having a top secret and relatively well-paying job. Who knows what you're going to end up doing? But set goals that are reasonable for who you are. New subject. This is from a woman in her first year of practicing real love. She said, my husband is so addicted to people pleasing that everywhere we go, he entertains waitresses, friends, people at parties, people at church, everywhere. When he gets home, he gets on the phone and he does the same thing. I never get any time. I feel like we're two people living in the same house. And I'm sure that he pleased you in the beginning, which is why you're together. He won you over just like he does everybody else. But the imitation love got old, as it always does. So he moved on to pleasing other people, and there's an endless supply of other people who are relatively new and who will be fascinated at his old stories. You say, I find myself on these occasions asking this. You already know that he's not able to love you. So you didn't lose anything from watching him play the fool. What are you afraid of? And then I realized that what I feel is that he's so clueless and so desperate, and I'm so eager for a miracle that will wake him up. Bless your heart. Yes, that's what you feel. He's not a bad person. You can sense that. He's just clueless. That's not a crime. Nobody ever taught him how to interact with people other than objects to entertain. So he's just clueless. So what do? You ignore when he's clueless with entertaining other people in a group, and because that's none of your business what he does away from you. What you really want is for him to pay attention to you. And what you do, you don't do anything. You don't interrupt him. He goes to a party and he entertains people endlessly, and you go home and you spent no time with him. You tell him exactly what you want. You focus on that and on loving him. If you want to spend some time with him at a party, which is mostly kind of silly, he goes to a party and to him it's like a carnival of people pleasing. Spend your one-on-one time with him at home, but it's up to you when. You ask him for exactly what you want to do. Fred, I would like to go for a walk sometime within the next hour for a half hour to the park. See? You ask him for what you want. Does that mean you're going to have to initiate your activities together almost all the time? Yeah. Tough. Too bad. He's not going to break this cycle. And you're not going to break this cycle. But you can get the attention you want. So focus on that. And if you don't give him very specific instructions, nothing's going to happen. You continue. I felt as if I'm standing at the bottom of the mountain looking up and going, wow, that's far. It's so deep and ingrained in him, and he's not self-aware, and blah, blah, blah. I could complain on and on. I was starting to feel stuck because I don't want to live the rest of my life with somebody that is at that level of being clueless. Then I remembered today that it doesn't matter. Now I feel silly for even giving you advice because now you're getting the point. That's what I was saying. Focus on being loving and asking for what you want over and over again. You continue. I just need to do this one day at a time. I have all the tools I need. I have everything I need. I just need to take this one step at a time, one moment at a time, and I'll need some help. We've been reading again in the marriage book for the past 2 days. How am I going to help him feel his worth? How am I going to help him feel loved? Those are going to be my questions. I'm working on this for myself too. Dang, honey. I mean, you answered your own questions. Just keep loving him. He doesn't listen to principles very well. He does feel loved when somebody gives it to him. Unfortunately, he takes entertaining people as feeling loved, but he also feels the real thing as love. So you're introducing a new kind of love into his life. He can feel that. That's a pretty good thing. Second email from her. I've been thinking about the part when you said, I just need to tell him exactly what I want from him. And this is kind of confusing to me because either I don't know what I want, good for you, most people don't, or I don't know what I'm even allowed to want, if that makes sense. How do I know what I want? It seems like such a stupid question, but I'm really not sure. It is not a stupid question. One of the most common questions I ask people when I'm in person with them is, what would you like to do right now? I ask people that all the time. People have an answer to that question 1 in 20 times. Not kidding. Whereas if you ask a 3-year-old, what do you want to do right now? Everything. Everything. They want to get out a roller and paint part of the room. They want to tear the curtains down. They want to climb the tree. They got a million things they want to do. So brilliant of you to see that you've lost that ability. And you lost it because when we're little kids and we ask for what we want, that's why I say 3-year-old. The older we get, the more we get told, stop, don't do that. That's too high. Don't get up on the couch. Don't come in with your shoes on. Don't quit breathing is what we hear all day long. And we hear it at school. Here's some examples of things you could want. I'm not telling you what to want. How could I possibly know? But here you said, I'm not even sure what I'm entitled to want. These are things you're entitled to want. Whether you want them, that's up to you. You say to him, tomorrow I'd like to go on a date with you for at least 2.5 hours, just you and me. What would be a good time for you tomorrow? And you sit right there while he gets out his schedule or phone or whatever he uses and puts you in there for 2.5 hours. And then you say, I would like to go on a date with no phones, and neither of us speaks to anybody else. Now, notice there's no accusation in there. You don't say, and you don't do your usual thing of talking to the waitresses and blah, blah, blah. You'll just ruin it all. No, you said neither of us, because I've watched guys do this. They'll go and sit in a restaurant and they'll entertain all the tables around them. It's embarrassing. You say neither of us speaks to anybody else, just to each other, except to order food or ask directions. That's it. If that particular day doesn't work, pick another day. Just keep going. Ask for what you need or want. Here's another one. Would you be willing to take the responsibility for taking the garbage out every night before bedtime? I just throw that one in there because I happen to know that one bugs you. Another one. Would you be willing to use your own, just because this is a common complaint amongst couples, would you be willing to use your own toothpaste and not mine? You wouldn't believe how many couples argue over who didn't put the cap on the toothpaste. And I'm going, would it be possible for each of you to have your own tube? I know that's a wild and crazy, out of the box thought, but why don't you each have your own tube? How do you argue with your partner about how you use your toothpaste, right? Why argue with your partner about what they do with theirs? If they decide to squirt toothpaste all over the top of the tube and it turns into a statue, what do you care? I will provide you with your own tube. That eliminates all the arguments. Here's another one. Could we agree on the television show we're watching instead of one of us hating what's on? In other words, we don't watch television unless we both agree on what we're watching. Easy to do. It'll be late at night. I'm tired. I'm answering emails. I turn on the television to watch whatever. And Donna just walks in and goes, could we watch something else? Yeah, what do I care? How could I possibly have an attachment to a particular thing that I'm watching where I'd ignore my partner? I don't care. You could say, on a conference call, because he's an entertainer, I'd be willing to bet that he does this. On a conference call, would you be willing to never speak about me? See, when he talks about himself, yeah, that's really kind of none of your business. But he doesn't have a right to talk about you without your permission. I have occasionally told stories at seminars about Donna, and even though I thought they were perfectly reasonable, I'm a perfectly reasonable human being, right? The stories were just lovely. There have been times that she's come up to me and said, I would prefer that you never tell that story again. Well, that's the end of that story. I don't need that one story, and he doesn't need to talk about you. So all of this is just to get you thinking. It's to show you how many things there are you get to ask for. And this applies to tons of people who are listening. We don't ask for what we want. We go along with what everybody else does. Then we resent them for it. Well, that makes us stupid. So you figure out this relationship. That's just how it goes. But not if you just put in your time as you're doing now. You're just kind of living in the same house and put up with whatever you have. You end up with the relationship, if it's a happy relationship, you end up with the relationship you built. If you're in an unhappy relationship, you end up with the relationship that just happened because of fears. Which brings us back to a subject that I've talked about many times. It's the difference between reacting and choosing. Choose your relationship. Next subject. I asked my roommate if she wanted to go for a walk today. During the walk, I realized that suddenly I just didn't feel like talking anymore. She kept talking, and I was slow to take action. But eventually I said to her, I've got something on my mind. I'm going to hang back, meaning walk behind you, and let you continue the walk without me. I felt instantly stronger, and that suffocating feeling of trapped just disappeared. Pretty good. I know you, and you really hate feeling trapped. So you became both quiet and you stepped back. Good solution. Another possible solution, I'm not telling you what to do, is just to say to your friend, do you mind if we just walk in silence for the next 5 minutes? Nothing wrong with that. There have been times Donna said to me, I just need things to be quiet for a little bit. Okay. You can even reach out and hold your friend's hand and feel closer to her with no words. There are so many ways not to feel trapped. It's even likely that your friend wasn't saying anything that would make you feel trapped, that she just poked an old wound where your mother or your father would just talk, and you wanted them to be dead. And that happens to us all the time. But we're not trapped. We always have a choice. We don't have to just react. You continue, I realize today that until I take consistent action in being myself and acting on what I want, that trapped feeling won't fully go away, no matter how much I tell myself I'm strong enough to make a choice. I have to act. I have to consistently make choices. I have to prove that truth to myself by acting on it, or otherwise my deeper mind will still have justification to hold on to the lie that I'm stuck. Perfect. You continue. The lesson I learned again today is that it's better to act sooner. Yes. When acting on what I want for me and the other person. It's not loving to be half engaged with somebody or irritated at somebody, because then they just feel my lack of love for them. I've said this thousands of times. If you're going to do something, act sooner and clearer. If you're going to communicate something to somebody, if you're ambiguous, if you're not clear, the chances they're going to do what you wanted are close to zero, because they can't read your mind. They're going to do it their way. And then you're going to think they didn't listen to you. No, sooner, clearer. You say, question, how do I handle it if the other person starts making my decisions about them? My roommate felt a bit taken aback, and she said she felt bad because she was talking the whole time and I had something on my mind, and asked me a few times if I was sure that I didn't want to talk about it. You've seen people do this. Somebody's quiet, and so they go, is there something wrong? No. Are you sure? Are you sure there's not something wrong? And they just keep doing it. I'm just watching it, and I want to go over there and put a paper bag over their head, or possibly a plastic bag, but nah, it doesn't affect me that bad. You continue. I felt fake in my attempt to reassure her, and my dropping back, the exit, wasn't as smooth as it could have been. What could I say in the future? Okay, you were uncomfortable being yourself. That's why you're now questioning what you did. Next time, you could say something like this. This is just a choice that will make you feel more confident, because you'll know there's something that you can say that's maybe smoother, something easier for you to say. You could say, reach out and touch her. Say, look into my eyes. This isn't about you. That's what she wants to know. Really, that's the thing. That's the thing everybody wants to know. Everybody thinks everything's about them. Really. They live with themselves all day long. They figure it rains because of them, or it doesn't because of them, or people are talking over there about them, or they're not talking. The thing that she wants to know is she's not the cause of you withdrawing. So you touch her. This is not about you. It's just not something I want to talk about. I just need a little time to think about it, and then I'll start talking to you again. See how easy? And if you really want to make it easy, you say, in 5 minutes, I'll tell you whether I'm ready to start talking again. So that it's not this sort of, endless, that a thing doesn't have an end. We can put up with almost anything if we know when the end is. So you're having an argument. You say to your roommate, to your partner, your whatever, I need some time to think about this. And you just walk out of the room, and they're left going, you need some time. You mean like a year, like the rest of your life? Waiting when you don't. That's why they have bus schedules. Really? So that people know exactly when the bus is coming, as opposed to bus will come eventually. They don't ever put that on a sign. So if the bus company is courteous enough to have a schedule, why are we not courteous enough to have one with our friends and our families? So in 3 minutes, I'll let you know if I'm ready. And in 3 minutes, you can say to her, I need another 3 minutes. Or you can start talking to her. See all the options that I'm just blabbing and giving you options. Because why? You feel trapped. You feel trapped by the fact that you think you don't have options. And I just gave you a whole bunch of them. New subject. This person says, today I finally realized that I sometimes act all helpless and pitiful. It's a good thing to know. I noticed my doing that with a lady that I do the music with at church. So I'm guessing the two of you somehow either pick the pieces together, or one of you plays the piano or the organ and the other one leads or something. She really likes to be right. She likes to look like she knows a lot, look like she has a lot of experience. So when I'm afraid, then I fall right into my role of looking up to her and asking her for help, because I'm so helpless myself, being overly grateful for her help and so on. It's kind of sickening just hearing about it. It's like we're both playing these roles. Like I'm playing the little pitiful, helpless role, and she's playing the I know everything role. Like we've been playing these roles all of our lives, and we just feed each other's fears. There's nothing real about it. It's like a play. You're right. In fact, you say, it's like we're in a sick play. You are. A play you didn't even write. It was written for you by your parents, uncles, who knows, peers, a long time ago. Anyway, I caught myself doing that today, and I reminded myself that I don't need to act weak and pathetic anymore ever again. It's not who I am. I think I've taken on that role a lot in my life. Yeah, you have. I think I'm noticing it more and more, which is a good thing. So I can change what I'm doing. You're saying very much what the person before this said. You feel trapped in a role. And now you can practice making different choices. You can talk to people who are wise, and they can give you different choices out of a situation where you feel trapped. As you feel more loved, you feel more capable of making the choices that you know intellectually. That's kind of the point. That's why it's called loving and teaching. You love somebody to the point where they can hear the choices that you're giving them. And then after they know the choices, they use the love again that gives them the power to make the choices. It's a never-ending loop. Love and teach, love and teach, love and teach all the time. Beautiful. You're having some strong, powerful insights. And that is the beginning of change. The truth exposes another choice, and then when you feel loved enough, you'll have the power to make the choice. Beautiful. This is from a guy. When my wife, Cynthia, and I started real love, we were in a bad place. I was afraid and felt worthless, and she was in serious pain and in a massive victim hole, and I was afraid of her victimhood. It wasn't good. I'll bet. That really sucks. And it would make a relationship pretty difficult. You continue. She wasn't happy about real love. In fact, she fought me every step of the way, but I did my best to just keep loving her, to learn how to love her, and to be the change with how I loved my kids who were young. It took me a good 20 months to get to a place where I could really begin to accept her for wherever she is. Now, everybody listening, hear this. It doesn't always take 20 months. Actually, with most people who don't learn anything about loving, it never happens at all. Some people do it sooner, but he persisted for 20 months. That's desire. Really saying, I've had people call me and say, well, I've tried this real love foolishness with my partner, and it just doesn't work at all. Well, how long have you been trying it? Well, 2 weeks. And I go, no, 2 whole weeks? Nobody's life changes in 2 weeks. He says it took me a good 20 months to get to a place where I could accept her. And today she is so much calmer, so much more balanced and more able to be herself. And our relationship is different in so many ways. What's weird is that even though she's much happier, she denies that real love has helped us. And she blames real love if we ever have a problem. I have seen lots of partners do that. Somebody somewhere in their life just beat up on them and took the credit for everything and belittled them. And what she's doing is taking this out on you. She's not going to give the credit to anybody else, even though she's happier. They benefit, these partners benefit hugely from real love, but they deny where the benefits came from. My response to that is, yeah, whatever. Who cares? If something's working, what difference does it make? It's at the end of the basketball game and you throw the ball up over your head, backwards, and it goes in the hoop and you win the game. Who's going to criticize the way you made the shot? You see, I was watching one of your video chats where you were saying that love really counts when we're dealing with a partner or child when they're in pain, when they're being attacking, acting like a victim. That's when it really counts. Yes. You continue. And something occurred to me that I'm really committed to real love and to Cynthia. She really is blossoming in ways she has no recognition or comprehension of. And it's wonderful to see that. But I do sometimes think that it's possible she may never actually do real love, meaning pick up a book, use real love language. It's possible we will have a relatively one-sided relationship all of our lives. And every so often, I just reflect on that I am in effect making a commitment to someone who may never be willing to love me or join me in a loving partnership. And right now, I'm still in all the way. This is a man. No kidding. This is a man. He's going, we're going to make this relationship better. And he has. And he hasn't been credited for it. And she's participated in it by being happier, but not really by working at it. And yet he says, at this point, I'm still all the way in. He continues, I guess I was just interested in your take on this. You must have met tons of people who committed to a relationship that's one-sided and also seen couples build real partnerships together. Oh, yeah, sure. Lots, both ways. I'm thinking right now of a man whose wife came for an intervention and her life is unrecognizable. And he's responding, like you describe your wife, like a blossoming flower. He sends her love notes. He tells her that he loves her more than ever. They cooperate as parents. Everything is better. Relationships with in-laws, all of it. But he never attributes any of the benefits to what she has done in real love. She's been the driving force of all of this. They were on the verge of divorce. He thinks it's just, I don't know, the phase of the moon, or they got lucky, or, things just improved, fat chance, like, kind of like a cornfield just grows up. Who knows what he attributes to it? It's hysterical that he doesn't recognize that she's done all this. He even says negative things about real love, but they're both happier. So she's content. She goes, what do I care? He's more loving. He's kinder. I'm more loving. We're happier. It might be relatively one-sided as far as her bringing the love, but he's responding. I've known some couples where the non-participating partner then eventually years later began to participate. Or in some couples, it took years for the non-participating partner to even respond. Every couple is different. You have to decide whether you're all the way in or not, because none of these things will happen, one-sided relationships or true partnerships, unless somebody's all the way in. So somebody has to make that choice. And here this guy did, and at the start of this particular letter, she did. And yet I just talked to another couple where he is this is me talking now, so consistently bullying and angry that he just crushes her. He just crushes her spirit. She doesn't even have to speak. And he starts insulting her and making her feel bad. And she's really been trying to live real love for, several months. She can't grow. She can't grow even personally. She can't become happy because of the way that he treats her. And she certainly can't grow in real love to the point where he'll ever feel it. She's too weak for that. And he is too aggressive. Now pay attention to those two qualities. She's too weak to grow, and he's too stubborn and aggressive to ever be affected. And he crushes her. There's no win here, no possibility. She's really been at it. I admire her. So what are they doing? They're separating. She would just keep trying and trying and trying until she broke down or killed herself. You continue. I know I'm not really asking a specific question. Maybe I just wanted to tell the truth about sometimes that I want Cynthia to be different. I have real faith in the long game here. Yes, you really do. After 20 months, potentially we have many years ahead of us. Equally, she does demonstrate a pretty consistent determination to dismiss real love, despite lots of clear evidence that it's having a big effect on our family and kids. Some people very stubbornly refuse to acknowledge even a positive effect. Why would they do that? Some people were always betrayed in the past. So why would they trust something new? So you'll see these people everywhere. They were always betrayed in the past, and somebody says something positive and they can find something negative about the sun rising. No kidding. Well, it won't rise tomorrow. I've known these people. Eeyore, from the Winnie the Pooh books. If they get involved and really have to look at themselves, here's another reason not to get involved in real love, then that could be beyond scary because they've never had to look at themselves. They're victims and they've always blamed everybody else. If they get involved in real love, their partner might start expecting something from them. They've done studies about this with little children where they found out that the effect of praise is terrible. A little child is painting and whatever kids are doing, crayons, and the teacher comes along and praises the kid for the work that they're doing. The kid quits using crayons or paintings because now they have expectations heaped on something that was just plain fun. That's one reason that partners won't participate in something. All insane, mostly, but fear is crazy. So it makes sense to them. You continue. You conclude actually, I suppose I look forward with the recognition that right now I'm making a commitment to Cynthia, knowing full well she may or may not ever participate in a real love partnership with me, and I'm still in. You're a hero. There isn't a medal for this, but you're a hero. They give medals to guys in the military who go out and for an hour do something out of just pure reflex. I'm not minimizing the medal. But here you are, you've been for 20 months, been belittled by her, and you're still all the way in. Hero. You continue, I suppose I just can't help but reflect on the fact that on what I'm choosing. And if I commit my life to this relationship, which is what I choose at this point, part of that deal may well be a one-sided relationship. Maybe. But see, even as it is now, she's happier. So it's two-sided, it's just not two-sided equal. I'll read what you said above. You said, today she is so, and you did so with a bunch of O's. So apparently a lot. Or you fell asleep while you put your finger on O. Today she is so much calmer, more balanced, more able to be herself, and our relationship is just different in so many ways. So not entirely one-sided, and it's too early to tell what will happen. So keep being loving. Keep observing her. And if at some point it all falls apart and she becomes selfish and angry and hateful and vengeful and makes fun of what you're trying to do and refuses to participate in a relationship and intolerable to live with, well, then you'd have a different decision to make, wouldn't you? But right now, your being all in is just amazing. You're doing what we talk about in every video chat. How would life be different? How would this situation be different? How would this marriage be different? How would this interaction be different if I brought love into it? And you've already seen the results. In your words, it is so, bunch of O's, much better. And it always is. At least for ourselves, and often for the people around us. See you in a week.